Yeah, where you been hiding? Long time no see.
My gosh, that's a good question. Where have I been hiding? I mean, everybody's hiding at home for the most part. I think for the most part, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and
Are you?
quarantine. Well, yes, to some degree,
Because
right?
I know you to be kind of like a little rebellious. You're a little different. You're not from here.
True. I like that because that makes me feel spicy. But
Spicy.
truthfully,
Like Spice Girls?
I'm more, something like that. But,
You
I'm
listen
trying to
to
be
that?
more responsible. What, Spice Girls?
Yeah.
But used to. I mean, I'm a grown woman now, so that definitely used to be like the poppy stuff when I was like high school.
To be honest, it was pretty viral, and I heard it, and I might have moved a little bit to it.
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
The
to be
Spice
fair.
Girls, that were everywhere. No, like the Spice Girls, like to be titled and labeled a bit spicy. But for the most part, when it comes to being hiding, I've been at home, basically. As boring as that sounds.
But home, it's like, what would you prefer to be other than home?
It's true. I love being home. I'm a homebody. So, a lot of things have changed, Max, since seeing you. Honestly.
You think?
Yeah, a lot of things. Outside of like worldly events.
Oh, you mean like in your personal life?
Yes.
Yeah.
So things have changed a lot.
Yeah, I know. Let's see it.
Are you
I've never seen it in person.
the finger? Yes, I got married.
Can the camera see it too?
Wait, here. No longer single. So
Congratulations. How
Thank
come I
you.
wasn't invited to the?
Because there was no wedding because we got married during COVID. It was like we walked into a same-day marriage, Vegas style. Literally, I dressed like this. I was in sweats and sneakers. So was my now husband. So were the kids. And we said I do, signed something, and officially married. No wedding.
So people were getting divorced and you were getting married.
I know.
Congratulations, and I applaud you.
Thank you.
That's great news. And
Our relationship survived.
of course, like I think a lot of relationships survive. Everyone gets tested, but then you find out really what you're made out of, and who your partner is, and if you should be with them or not.
That's true. I mean, listen, everybody's spending a whole lot of time with their people. And I think there's a lot of relationships that are crumbling under the pressure, which is sad. And then there's relationships that are flourishing and finding new ways to love and appreciate. And, Guy and I, my husband, we have a very, very special bond and are super close in so many ways. So it only made sense. So it feels good. It feels good to be a married woman and working on this relationship.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lita Lewis. This is Max Philisaire. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Max Your Mind. I appreciate you taking the time to come today. I know you have 20 kids at home, right?
It's something like that. Might as well be.
Like 20 kids. Like, how did you even get the pass to come today?
The kids are great and they're
I
grown.
should've-
So,
I'll-
I was like, here, you look after your brother, and then everybody's looking after one another. Then I can leave the house for an hour or so, okay? Good. Food in the fridge. Doors are locked. We good. We good here.
I really appreciate you coming out. You're one of the people that I wanted to have come
Oh,
and speak.
thank you.
Because you're already doing this on your own platform. So I was like, let's see if she gets able to share this on my platform, a different audience. Because I'm not a female. I'd like to hear from your perspective as well.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I think, as mentioned, I think now more than ever, we're actually realizing we can motivate and inspire people while not being in the gym. We're not sweating bullets. Or
Oh my gosh.
teaching somebody how to squat properly.
The gym is where I go to execute what I plan before the gym. So people are like, oh, he's bicep curling at 600. I'm like, the planning is where it happens.
Yeah.
Because I come in there, I've already dominated before I step in.
I love that.
The mindset.
That's mindset.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about a bit of that, huh?
Yeah, most definitely. But I know who you are. Can you tell our audience who you are and what you do?
Well,
Like,
I personally...
I know there's some things I'm missing in there too. Like, it's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been, I want to say several years, dude, but social
That's
media
what
has a
happens
way...
to get married.
Yeah,
You have to distance yourself from dudes
Exactly.
and be like, like there's priority and that's it.
Yeah. Balance is key, though. I'll say that. So who am I? That's an awesome question and one I hate to answer. to be completely honest.
Why?
I hate titles. I hate labels. I just am who I am. And I like to say that
I am who I am.
But
So
you know what I mean? It's
basically,
like
you're
so
God.
many things. So many things. So it's like, what are you? What do you do? I typically don't like to define myself by what I do for a living. To me, it's just so limiting. But for the sake
I
of
agree with
this,
you on that. I understand what you mean.
I'm that person,
People like, are you the bicep curl guy? I'm like, sure.
Sure, I'm that. And I can be many other things as well. So I live in that space, but it's, for the purpose of these types of things and podcasts, I refer to myself as a fitness and wellness coach. I am somebody that has built a brand and business on social media, really speaking a specific message to women, especially women that look like
What
me.
about us?
Well,
men?
sure. If the men are also motivated and inspired by what I'm sharing, it's an added plus. But, I'm really talking to my ladies.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, you're a woman, so you can relate, and you're like, you know what? I
Yeah.
want to uplift my fellow sisters.
Well, absolutely. And I don't take that lightly because when I first started in health and fitness, there wasn't many women that looked like me. There weren't many women of color. There weren't many women that were sharing like a really positive message about body image and self-love. And I, many moons ago, as it said, instead of looking for that person to be inspired by, I decided to be that person to inspire others. So, primarily health and fitness. And anybody that knows me well knows that my message is not about just the physical. I speak about mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and how that's all encompassing to what I define as optimum health. And that's what I think we should always be achieving, not just these beautiful bodies that we can be proud of when we look in the mirror, but how are we mentally, how are we spiritually, how are we emotionally? Because I think without those elements, are we really healthy? I personally don't think so.
I agree with you. It's interesting because we're in the health and fitness industry, but a lot of it is focused on the body.
Majority of
But
it
it's like,
is,
but
yeah.
like you said, health, mental health, spiritual health, even the body doesn't happen until the mind is, disciplined.
Yeah, and you're the expert at that. That's true. We can't change anything that we see of the flesh or what we see in the reflection of it. We cannot change anything unless we first start with our mindset. And so I know you speak on this beautifully, but
Thank you.
This is what I'm trying to tell my audience is not to focus necessarily on thicker thighs or flatter abs or a rounder booty. Like, we can get there, but we need to get there by pursuing a resiliency and a certain perseverance when it comes to a mindset, because that's what keeps us going and keeps us consistent.
Powerful.
Yeah.
All right. Max your mind. I'm hearing the mindset talk. So like you said, thicker thighs is not the most important thing, but you promote, you post thighs. So
Yeah.
like when women see that, they're like, that's not the most important thing, but they're like, I want what Lita has.
Yeah. I mean, when I say certain things like this, these are phrases, they're catchy, they're popular, but they are the byproduct of a mindset.
Okay,
Does it
so
make
you're
sense?
using them as a vehicle.
Pretty much, of course, yeah.
That's what I do with overall fitness, because like I enjoy being active. I love fitness, but there's only so much to bicep curls. Like, I'm like, or getting big and shredded. I'm like, what's
Right.
next? Like after a year of getting
Yeah.
big, getting shredded, you're like, all right, what is exercising teaching me? It's teaching me to pay more attention to my mind, each other, discipline, structure, purpose. Because like you eat for a certain reason, you eat it for a purpose. You don't just eat because it tastes and feel good.
Yeah.
Discipline. So like that's a lot what I'm learning from fitness, and it's beautiful to hear other fitness professionals, other individuals talk about mindset and how they're trying to put that out, because that should be the industry, just mental health.
I love it. Absolutely. Because again, everything that we feel, touch, see in the mirror is a byproduct of how we show up in the world. And that is by choices, behavior, who we associate with, what we're finding as inspiration. It doesn't necessarily start with walking into the gym, right? Anybody can walk into the gym, but who are those that are certainly successful at building a physical form? And everyone that I know that has been successful and stays consistent in their efforts have a type of mindset that is like second to none. They know their power starts with like, neck up kind of situation. So yeah, I agree.
You're from Australia, right?
Yes. Yes.
But what is your background? Like, I know you were in New York, Australia, the Boondocks, a couple other places.
Yeah.
Where did you? What was the inception? What was the
story?
genesis?
Oh, yeah, good question. The genesis. Well, the funny thing is, I know we're here recording in Los Angeles, California.
Are we?
Yes, we are. And so I was actually born here. I was born here
got
in
kicked
LA. Not exactly.
They're like, we don't like her accent. Get out of here.
Not exactly. My parents were met here, married here. I was born here. And then my mother, who grew up in New Zealand, that has a Polynesian background. So my mother is Samoan and Tuvaluan, very small islands in the South Pacific. All her family.
That's where you get the
thickness. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But my mom got super homesick. And I think after spending several years here in LA, she convinced my dad to like move and migrate to Australia. So I was raised
influence.
There. Yes.
You guys are dangerous when it comes to that.
She was right to do so, I think, because now in hindsight, I realize my childhood was just absolutely amazing. But no, raised in Australia, and then at a tender
What part of
age,
Australia?
in Sydney.
Sydney.
I know you've been.
Yeah, I've been there.
Where have you been? Sydney?
Sydney, Brisbane.
Melbourne?
Melbourne. What's the other one?
Perth.
Perth.
And you've been all over.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already know.
I
get
do.
it.
I do
You
know.
get it. You love it?
Do I love it? Yeah.
Did you enjoy your
What's
time?
not to love?
Okay, cool. Because like honestly, I've been here since I've been in the States 14 years, and I've never met an American that said they didn't love it. Not just like, oh, it's cool. Like I loved it, and that's really cool. That's the place.
That's
I grew
crazy. You born here, grew up over there.
Yep.
You sound like them.
Yeah, good. I'm still glad because I don't want to ever lose my accent. So
You don't?
I don't want to lose it. No. But
I'm surprised you still have it. Like, because you could
Yeah.
travel a lot.
Well, I mean, I completely grew up there. I didn't move to the United States until I was 23. You know what I mean? So like my whole upbringing. When I moved there, I was with my parents, of course. When I was young, I was 2. So
Okay.
I didn't even know if I was actually talking. So my I definitely it's home base. I am Australian. You know, that happens
Speaking
to be
of being
dual.
Australian, it's Black History Month.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Australia Day?
That's a really great question. I've never asked that, you know, being that I'm kind of like somewhat removed. Australia Day is an interesting day because it essentially celebrates basically the coming of the white man to an indigenous country. I personally choose not to necessarily celebrate it or recognize it for that. I think it's a day where most indigenous will say it was a complete genocide. And
You wouldn't say that?
oh, well, absolutely, for sure. I would totally agree with that, considering, you know, but growing up, we're not taught those types of histories, right? Just very similar to the United
You
States.
find out after the fact, like,
Yeah, I mean, heck, all over the world where colonialism had a play. And I know you being native Haitian, you too had those trials and tribulations in your history too, one of which you won, which is the reason why
I don't know if you call that winning.
But they literally stood up together, and every time I hear this story, I'm just so empowered, and I get goosebumps, and I'm like, I want to be Haitian. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole other story.
We
Your
won in
history
some
is
ways
really
and we lost in some ways.
true. But
There's a lot to learn
in
from that.
comparison, though, to a lot of other indigenous nations, I think the win is what's to be celebrated in Haitian culture.
Yeah, I mean, that's the spirit. Like,
Yeah. What?
we're not very submissive.
No. And let me tell you, all my Haitian friends, shout out to them, I love them. And your Haitian
Thank
food.
you.
Oh, God, I miss Brooklyn. I'm so proud of that, and I love that for your people.
Thank you.
Yeah, but listen, Australia Day is a day that exists that I know many, many, many Australians are trying to fight, perhaps changing the name of or changing the narrative of why they celebrate it. And rightfully so. I stand with that myself. I don't think it should be a day to celebrate because it was a day that mass genocide happened all over that country for indigenous peoples. So.
Do you see them? Do you see Aboriginals around when you in Australia? Because when I was over there, I barely saw like.
People say that. They tell me, they're like, well, where are all the Aboriginals? Like I was looking to see like native people. And sadly, now mind you, I'm so many years removed, so I really speak about like my adolescence and youth and what I experienced many years ago. And what's interesting is I do remember going to school and having friends that were of indigenous bloodlines, like Aboriginal bloodlines. but had been were mixed. And sadly, my understanding is, and anybody that out there listening that wants to comment, please, I'm all for learning. But their gene is very recessive. So once mixed, you'll very quickly see, especially after generation,
It's
that
the same
real.
people.
Yeah, it's really, someone could look like literally like a Mariah Carey and be half Aboriginal. Do you know what I mean? So one, they're absolutely amongst us, but they perhaps not obvious. I mean, remember, if you're not from Australia, you're typically looking for what Hollywood portrays the Indigenous people. You know, plain didgeridoos, painted, body
point.
painted. Do you know what I mean? So you know, but
Over
there's-
time, people
absolutely.
mix.
So we live in a modern world, so there are absolutely Aboriginal people amongst us, but you're probably not seeing them from a tourist eye as being Indigenous to Australia.
But there are communities of just
Yes,
Aboriginals,
yes.
like the Native Americans. Like,
Yeah, the reserves here,
Right.
absolutely. And I think a lot of that, or those communities can be found in like what we refer to as the outback, you know, like further out in more rural areas.
Okay.
Not so much in like metropolitan living. Yeah.
Very interesting. So, like growing up, there, did you feel like the conversation shifted or changed, like how Australians felt about Australia Day? Is it different now than you were
Yeah.
growing up there?
Oh, I think, was it different now? Yes. Like, I think, you know, when I was a teen coming up in school, Australia Day was Australia Day. People celebrated it. I remember it being obviously a national holiday. We would barbecue, be at the beach. I do not remember any type of narrative as to like the depths of what Australia Day was and what it means, especially as it pertains to Indigenous Aboriginal people. And that is a naiveness, that is neglect and wanting to learn more. Now, however, and I think, you know, the conversations about race and Indigenous people and their place in the world has been a global conversation. And now in hindsight, I realized there was so much neglect, and I lived in a naive state of mind when it came to that and Indigenous people. But here, being in the United States as a Black woman and speaking of our own narrative and struggles as a person of color in this country made me and forced me to look back at my own childhood and my place of where I was raised and see very similar comparisons to race and equality. And the voice that I think has been stolen from Indigenous peoples.
What do you think we should do about the voice, about the information and the history that, you know, some of us, you and I, are still getting to know right now that we didn't grow up learning?
I think we're doing it. We're talking about
Conversation.
it. Yeah, absolutely. There was a time that I, you know, had I been that 23-year-old mixed kid, I like to say, that moved to New York City, when somebody asked me about what it meant to be Black in Australia, my answer was so superficial and naive, very surface. It was cool, you know, whatever. I was kind of like the token Black girl, and I was the athlete, and I, you know. But
What
now
sport?
track and field, football,
Oh, wow.
rugby, that is.
So you trained for thickness.
Yes, that, and I think is part of my genetics also. But you know, I think
And your branding.
and the branding, yeah, it all comes full circle, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel very much grown now, so that was a long time ago. But like I said, we're doing it. We're talking about it. You know, I'm gonna have certain conversations with the kids and other young people that I have the pleasure of speaking with about who we are, what we stand for, our history, what we're worth. Those that came before us that fought and gave their lives. These are now narratives that we're going to share, which I think I missed growing up. So I think we're doing it. It's all about knowledge. Knowledge is power, as they say. And so I think we should continue talking about it and bringing awareness to it.
Yeah, I think even if we don't talk about it, we have to face it because it's not going anywhere.
No, of course not. We stand on it.
You're a product of your past, and your kids are a product of, you know, you, and it's going to continue on. So the conversation is going to happen regardless. It's just
so be in control of the narrative.
Might be late on the conversation, but
yeah, I agree for sure.
So I understand you're doing homeschooling.
Oh gosh,
I didn't know you were a teacher.
I'm not. And all the like hundreds of thousands of parents out there that are with me, you know, there's no school.
You're doing a group. parent home?
Well, I will say this. I mean, I don't say that it's difficult in a sense that like I am literally playing teacher with a ruler, with a rule and pencils and a chalkboard. You know, my husband has 4 kids. We have primary custody of them. I did not birth them, but I consider them my own because I am fully responsible for them. When it comes to homeschooling, we have the eldest in his room at his desk. We got the twins in their room at their desks. And the youngest, who is 8 years old, does his schooling on our dining room table. So trying to keep them separate is a bit of a challenge. Keeping them focused is more of a challenge. And then just...
Is this the first year doing homeschooling?
Well,
For them?
yeah, is it? Yeah, because school was over. Yeah, so this is the second school year. We COVID hit at the end of the last school year, and now this is the second, so to speak.
Okay.
And we really hope it's the last.
Oh, you don't want to continue homeschooling?
Hell no.
Don't you have an option?
Seriously.
Our schools.
You know what? I think a lot of parents, some parents might be loving it. You know, the parents, no shade. Oh my gosh, I mean, there's no shade. The parents that are at home, that are homekeepers and full-time wives and carers.
They're already at home.
They're at home. And maybe they love it. They thrive in it, wanting to spend their time and energy educating. I love that. I love that for them. I promise you I do. But, you know, when you live a very busy lifestyle, my husband and I, we're both super busy and juggling, making sure the kids are not just getting their schoolwork done, but their mental health is okay. You know, we want them to get up and move and all that jazz. It's a lot because I'm in and out of the house all day, literally. I'm like, all right, I'm out for an hour. I'll be right back. And I'm talking to the eldest, like, keep an eye on your brothers. Don't answer the door. All right, come back. I'll say the same conversation like 4 times. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I look forward to school going back.
Maybe you should just, shift to just housewife.
Impossible.
How's that impossible? Why is that impossible?
It's just not.
Back in the day, it was only housewives.
Yeah, cool. Back in the day, what we live in 2021, you see, and my husband know who we married, and I gotta stay busy. I gotta stay busy because I have a lot.
You can be busy in the house.
You're absolutely
with 4
right.
kids?
I am not gonna argue. That's very true because I feel like I definitely stay busy in the house.
See,
I have a lot to do though. I got businesses to run, Max. You know how that works.
Right. You can get an assistant.
True. Maybe at a home assistant.
Both. Like,
a housekeeper,
they're busy at home,
gardener. Somebody. I'd love a cook, a chef. Oh my goodness.
You stop cooking?
I'm not. I've never been a good cook.
I mean, there's Google. I mean, the YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's true. But I also don't have the patience to watch that stuff.
You know what? Cooking is not my thing, but I make it happen. I have to eat, or else.
No. What are you eating? Are you still doing like chicken breast and the broccoli?
You're saying it's not cooking.
Look at this body. So what are you really eating? You're eating good.
Chicken breast, sweet potatoes.
Yep. Brown rice.
Spinach. Brown rice.
Salmon. Switch it up.
Are you saying that's not cooking?
No,
cooking
I'm just saying like back in the day when my diet was super strict, there was obviously key staple foods that were a part of my diet. And I know because you keep such a fantastic physique, you're still eating super clean. And I envy the discipline.
It's people ask me, "Hey Max, are you on a strict diet?" And for me, it's not strict because I'm happy. I'm okay with what I eat.
I agree.
I don't feel like I'm forcing myself to eat super healthy.
Yeah, you enjoy what you're eating.
It's a balance. I'm not. Some of my items are vegan, but I eat meat.
Yeah.
It's just I don't abuse meat.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
Yeah. And you're probably obviously feeding your body what it needs. You're so intuitive to your body.
Purpose is important because I train hard. So if I don't eat for recovery or eat for energy, I won't be able to perform.
Yeah, I get that.
Probably get sick from not eating right. So,
yeah, that's true.
So
wait. What's a cheat meal? I want to know what Max
cheat meal.
eats
I like burgers and fries. I like ice cream.
You like ice cream?
I like candy, chocolate. But the thing is, after I eat my meals for the day and have my protein shakes, I'm full.
Yeah. So so a cheat meal happens like once a year?
Once a year. Oh, you know what? It's lately it's been like I can't remember the last time I had a cheat meal because right now I'm like I want to go back to where I was at when I was locked in.
Oh.
So I'm like meals, shake, workout, rest.
Are you increasing your calorie intake?
increasing calorie intake, being more consistent, more disciplined, just so I can tighten it back up because I, like
Ladies and gentlemen.
2020, I was like, I took it easy. I mean, it was a shock, but I took it easy.
Okay, got you. So you want to get back to the 2019 max?
2015.
Oh, really? I love it. I love it. Just hearing you say that would be exhausting for me, but
But I mean, you got a full blown army.
I got a lot.
Army you taking care of. So I want to talk about relationships. Like,
let's do it. I love talking about relationships lately.
Seems like you got a good man. Like,
yeah.
How did that come up to be?
I'm blessed and highly favored. I make jokes about my husband and our relationship a lot, but I recognize now, especially more than ever, I have chosen a true partner, and he is somebody that sees me, recognizes who I am, does never tries to diminish me or take away what he knows I love. We have a busy life. Like he works in the film industry. He's super busy. I do what I do, and we have 4 kids. So
shout out to Guy.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing this to happen. Definitely want you on an episode.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, he would actually be really good to have, considering his perspectives and his history.
I know he's busy, but definitely want to chop it up.
Yeah. I think that would be a great idea. But I think we met. We were never supposed to be here. It's so funny how when you're looking.
What do you mean you weren't supposed to be here?
Like when we met, it was like there was an attraction to one another, but it wasn't just physical. It sounds kind of cliche, but I was really attracted to him as a person, and I recognized that he was going through a lot at the time. I was going through a lot, so we were just talking and bouncing thoughts and ideas off each other.
Where and how'd you guys meet?
Brooklyn, New York. We met. We met in Manhattan, in New York City, in front of Whole Foods.
You guys were both shopping for vegan items?
No, actually, no. He was standing right out front of the store door, and I was walking up to the door because I was going.
Did you hit on him?
I did. Well, okay. Let me explain.
What year was this?
I don't even know. Gosh, what was this? 2016? Yeah, 2016. We met in 2016. All I remember is he was standing there. I was walking up, and I recognized him. I said, "He's a good-looking man." I said, "He saw me. I saw him." And instead of walking into the store, I kind of was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, what's up?"
You weren't shopping for food.
I went shopping for a man.
A husband. You found a husband.
It definitely was not at the beginning.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was cool. We met at Whole Foods. I ended up inviting him to join me. He ended up paying for my groceries. So already I was like, "Oh, mm-hmm." And then we had this really cool conversation.
Let me take notes. Pay for the groceries.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you,
first date.
I'm telling you, it is such a win. If you pay for a woman's groceries, she'll be looking at you like, She'd be talking all the things. I'm telling you, it's true.
Wow. This is 2016.
Yeah.
And then what steps did you guys take to bond and make it work? Because people fall in love, or they I love, we have chemistry, and then they make choices that,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Blows up.
And I thought many a times it was gonna blow up. And not blow up in a bad way. Just I was okay with meeting him, knowing him, and if it didn't end up being togetherness, I was cool with that. I truly was. He was going through a lot at the time, and listen, we met literally 8 weeks to the date of me leaving that very city that we met. I was like, "It's been really cool getting to know you, but I'm out of here." And he was like, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm moving to LA."
How long were you in New York before moving here?
Almost 10 years.
10 years, and you met him right before leaving?
Right, yes. I met him, on a Super Bowl Sunday. So it was end of January, early Feb. And
Super Bowl Sunday, and he wasn't watching the game?
It was during the day. Super Bowl was that evening. Yes, it was during the day.
Okay, gotcha.
He went and watched it somewhere, and I went and watched it somewhere, and I remember us then sharing some texts or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how it worked out. But listen, when he told me he had 4 kids, and I was like, "Okay, yep, you're gonna be a friend. You're just gonna be a friend."
That's what you thought.
And then life happens. It's weird. It never.
But he makes decisions, not you. Just kidding.
Yeah.
You're like, he's gonna be a friend, and he's like,
I don't think so. No, it's again cliche. We were really good friends at the beginning, and I think that's what set the foundation for our relationship today. Is pure honesty and just being friends, and it worked out.
Not rushing things.
No, oh gosh, no.
Because in the past, people knew each other, the families knew each other before they pursued each other.
That's true.
The people like in the past, like when? Like I'm talking about like biblical times.
Yeah, back in the
Past,
day.
not like 10
like
years ago.
when we were talking about villages and stuff.
Yeah, like
Where are you from?
you really knew the person and made it work. You knew how to maneuver and make it work. So
Yeah.
what you said about friendship is so important.
I think it's so underrated. And again, people talk about, we had a good friendship, a good chemistry. It's like, no, like have a genuine friendship. And friendship can be hard. Like I was really honest with him about certain things, and he was really honest with me to where it was like, I'm going to tell him this, and he might be like, oh, I'm good. That's too much. Do you know what I mean? And I was okay
You were
with that.
sharing too much?
I don't think I was sharing too much. I was just being really brutally honest about where I was mentally and spiritually. And, sometimes guys will probably can receive that a certain type of way, like, damaged goods, or like she's got too much baggage, and vice versa. I'm sure
We all have baggage, though.
Well, exactly. So, but some people keep that hidden for a long period of time before they
And it's like, how do you
that.
get to know each other if you're not talking about the trials and tribulations like we're doing now?
Agreed, 100%. So I think that's what set the foundation for us, and we've been friends ever since. And 5 years later, we're like fully adulting. We're like married. I got 4 kids. I got a mortgage and stuff. Like I feel like I'm an adult.
And you really know the person.
Yes, I mean,
that's
let me say
refreshing.
this. I always say what's really beautiful about a relationship is this constant, ever changing evolution about somebody. Like who I am today was really different than who I was when I first met him 5 years ago. So one can only assume that I'm going to be really different in 5 years' time.
Yeah,
right?
every day we change, evolve, we become better, stronger.
That's
More
the goal.
insight.
So I think even though we know each other so well, we're so honest with each other. I look forward to seeing him evolve, not just in his professional life, but how he is as a father. And I know that he can say the same for me, how I've grown into being a parent to his sons, and my role in their lives, and then how I'm also evolving in my professional life as well. So getting to know each other constantly.
I want to talk about I want to talk about your show. I want to talk about the clothing. First of all, what is that?
Well, this here is a very strong message. It's the F word, and we're saying we want to F a thigh gap only because.
I mean,
As
that's very sexual.
It's not sexual. It's basically, when I started in fitness, I was running boot camps all over the country. That's literally how I started, right? And I would constantly belt out these statements and these little phrases to these women that came to move like real athletes. I loved it. And to empower them, I would scream out these things about body positivity and self-love and everything above. So it would be like, thick thighs save lives, embrace your curves, and fuck a thigh gap.
That's drawing a lot of attention to the thighs, though, isn't it?
Well, so be it, because they're there. They ain't going nowhere, so go have a look.
You know what? It's like you don't have to talk about them for them to be visible and for eyes to go there.
My goodness.
So it's like, why drive more attention to the thighs?
Why not is the question.
Oh, you're a troublemaker.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm saying, listen, we all have them. And I speak to a very specific group of women that
I understand your approach, though. It's a vehicle.
It's a vehicle. It's just a message that will grab attention, will let people know that I want to talk about body positivity and that I don't care about the social standards of how mass media like to coin us in and basically define what fit and beautiful is supposed to look like. Because my women of color, are built a little differently.
True.
And instead of shying away from that.
We love it.
Yeah, thank you. We love it. I'm trying to tell them, you should love it too. And so you can't tell me that women out there that look like me aren't as fast, aren't as beautiful, aren't as strong. That's nothing about that is true. So really this key messaging is something fun. And I love promoting it.
Oh, congratulations on the clothing.
Thank you.
It looks great. Where can women find clothing?
So the brand is called Thick Athletics Apparel.
I'll put
Very
it in the description.
And it's just thickathleticapparel.com.
So do you have to be thick to wear the
No.
clothing?
So we've coined that. Like this idea of thick came from the physicality of being thick, But what I love so much is that there's so many women of all shapes and sizes that resonate with the brand, that we've taken on this idea that thick really is a mentality. It's a way of life. I'm thick and strong could mean anything. It doesn't mean necessarily about showing up thick and being physically thick.
Right.
Thick mindset.
Okay,
thick
I like
spiritually.
that.
So that's what we mean by that.
I like how you're embedding the mindset into it
Always.
because it's not about the thighs, just the thighs, just per se.
Of course not.
Because a dude is here and see thigh, they're like, oh, okay, yes, but you're like, no, whoa, there's more to it.
There's so much more to it.
You got your own show.
Well, yes and no. The show you're referring to, what we're calling
Hello Fitness.
Hello Fitness TV, yes.
Hello Fitness TV. Is
Yes.
there another one that I don't know about?
No, that's it. It's funny that you say that because since COVID, basically we had to hit the brakes on a lot of things of how we wanted to roll it out. But it ended up evolving into something that was beautiful and what I enjoyed. We had planned to do something very similar to this. And me sitting with people, interviewing them or having a conversation as we are. And then COVID hit in March and it then halted all plans. But so we could keep the momentum and the audience active and engaged, we did IG Lives.
IG Lives.
And so a lot of the talent, I had some amazing talent, some amazing women get online and chat with me. And again, it's about this. It's about, we live in this health and fitness space.
Yeah.
But
we're not talking about mental health.
well, no, we are talking
You
about.
and me are, but I'm saying
Right. No, during those conversations, so that's what it was about. My whole message is that fitness is so much more than physical. Health is so much more than what we see in the mirror. And so I realize people like myself, just like you, right, have so much more to say versus what we can show. Yeah. I mean, we can sit there and show you how to squat and show you our bodies.
I get bored of showing the body stuff.
It's the same stuff. Yeah. But like, what do we have to say that can really bring value to our audience? And there's a lot. There's so much more. And I realized that was my strength, really. It's not necessarily what I was showing in pretty images or videos. It was a message. And I noticed that during my boot camps and my little tours and my workshops, the actual physical workout would be an hour, but I would speak for 2-3 hours post-event, and it'd be this collective conversation. And I realized
both important.
That's the value.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's where it's at. And so that's how Hello Fitness TV came about. But yeah, I enjoy that part of it all because I really enjoy talking. Maybe too much.
Too much? I don't think it's too much. You got a voice, you got something to say. I remember telling you once before, either asking you or suggesting you that you started something where you talk.
Really? Talk
more because of the voice. 'Cause it's very iconic the way you sound. Like if you hear the voice, you know, oh, that's Lita.
That is a compliment. My goodness.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Well, then I'm also like a woman of color living in the United States with like this weird kind of like Australian accent. So
different.
Yeah, it's already different. So yes. Okay. Thank you. I'll take it. But that means a lot to me, Max. Thank you.
No, of course. I've known you for a while. I've seen you grow.
Long time.
I've seen you grow personally, professionally. So it's a blessing to have you here. I really appreciate you taking the time. You know, you've grown a lot since I first met you. What could you tell our female audience but the steps to take personally, and we'll just start with personally, steps to take to personal development?
Well, that is a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
I think if I had to step back and answer that in a few sentences, I would basically tell your female audience that I think personal development first starts as a seed of self-love. We cannot do much or do it with resiliency, with strength and power if it's not seeded in self-love. Self-love is the reason where we find our worthiness, our strength, our resiliency. And I think when we fold and we found ourselves down and out, because that's bound to happen in anyone's journey, I think going back to self-love as your foundation is always going to be a wonderful reason to pick yourself up. So I think personal development, in short, is started with self-love, and understanding and defining that for yourself is very important. No one should tell you what that means, not even I. How you define it is yours, and yours to keep close to your heart. That should be always the foundation on which you stand.
What if somebody's perception of self-love is cutting their arms to feel good, or
That's a good question.
eating and
Yeah.
purging to feel good.
Yeah, that's a good
Self-love.
question.
So like, how do they find out what self-love is if they don't know what it is, and if they had it and lost it, how did they get it?
That's a good question. That is a really good question. And I've had the pleasure of speaking to some young women that have had to deal with some deeply rooted issues or some traumatic events in their past. That's a hard one to answer because I think it's very subjective about where you are in that journey. I think, honestly, innately, as humans and part of the human experience, when we are hurting ourselves, especially physically in that capacity and cutting wrists and things of this nature, I think deep down, like I said, innately, we know something is not right, right? It might be, I've heard this before, it's not like hurting myself or purging food is me loving myself. It's me not wanting to deal with something that then shows up as that, as the cutting, as the purging. So I would, I would like to think anybody in that scenario would have the courage to maybe speak to somebody that they know that love, so they can reflect how they're interpreting like pain and hurt with an action that might be hurting themselves. Because if we don't have the strength to see it first, we need to be able to bounce those ideas of somebody that might be of in a better place mentally and spiritually, be like, hey, I think that's not love. I think this is this. And
Support.
Absolutely. A support system is so key. So key. I don't know if I answered that, but it sort of comes full circle.
That's a powerful step, because sometimes the individuals are not strong enough, or they don't have the courage at that time to take the necessary steps. But if they communicate it, somebody that cares about them will give them a helping hand.
Absolutely.
Until they're strong enough to take the steps themselves. So I really,
good question, though. That's a really good question.
It's a powerful one.
Yeah.
So I know you have to go home, and you got like the army waiting for you.
I got the kids waiting. I think school is about done.
I'm so glad you were able to come. Like, when you do have more time, I'm definitely gonna have you come back.
Yeah, this has been
and
fun.
also, I'd like to speak on your. Wait, is your show only for women?
It's not at all. We've had a whole handful of men.
I think I've only seen women in.
That's true. We do. It's definitely female dominated.
Kind of sexist.
But you know what? We're gonna address that on our show. Okay. So next time that we're going to making lists of talent, I'm going to put your name up top, Max.
Yeah. I got something to say too.
I know you do. And again, I appreciate you having me. This is great. I love that we're using our platforms to create a narrative and talk about issues that are not only benefiting us about our health and our physical selves, but also the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional. So this is great. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, and I want to work towards optimal health.
Yeah.
And also help inspire others to do the same with themselves and their families. And you're helping me do that. So I really appreciate it.
We share that goal.
Definitely. Power structure. Ladies and gentlemen, Leta Lewis, thank you for joining us for another episode of Max Your Mind. Please leave down comments of what you guys think about my questions, Lita's questions, what we discussed. And also please like and subscribe next time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Awesome. Well, that was fun.